Okay, welcome back to another episode of Conversations with Neighbours. Today's conversation is rooted in a simple but important idea that Black history is Canadian history. This isn't about a single moment or a single month. It's about identity, belonging, and how strong communities are built when everyone feels part of the same story. Our hope is with this episode is to create a conversation people can come back to throughout the year, one that invites curiosity, reflection, and connection. We got two amazing guests today. Joining me is Phiona, president and founder of the Aurora Black Community Association. Phiona is an award-winning entrepreneur, community advocate, speaker, and a leader whose work is deeply rooted in equity, purpose, and people-first impact. She's someone who doesn't just talk about community, she builds it, whether that's through the Aurora Black Community Association, her work in business and mentorship, or her commitment to creating spaces where people feel seen, supported, and empowered. Phiona brings clarity, compassion, and courage into every room she enters, and I'm really grateful to have her here. Welcome to the show. I'm also joined by Michael, a community leader, coach, and co-founder of Basic Speed and Agility Group. Michael's background as a former NCAA standout and his years of coaching have shaped how he thinks about people, growth, and potential. What started as a small training group has grown into one of Canada's leading athletic development programs, not just because of performance, but because of the environment he helps to create. Michael has a unique ability to connect ideas, people, and purpose, and to think beyond labels or lanes, which makes him a great voice for this conversation. Thank you both so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, so let's start here. When you hear the idea, Black history is Canadian history, what does that mean to you personally, both of you?
I came from Jamaica, and as an immigrant here and coming from Jamaica, most people know Jamaica, so it's an all-Black community. But one of the our motto in Jamaica is out of many, one people. Because because Myles, there's white people, there's Chinese, Black Jamaican, white Jamaican, so we're everything. But there's never a need to say Black history or Happy Black History Month, because there's no missing of Black presence. Lawyer, doctor, judges, everything is Black. And even if they weren't Black in skin color, you hear their Jamaican patois accent, you know they're part of our community. But then when I came here, and later down the line, you realize, oh, I'm not seen as the same, or I have to justify my abilities. And so when I discovered Dr. Augustine and started to read up and move forward when I became a mom to say, how am I going to present myself and build my community? I realized, I think the divide is because people don't understand that this is Canadian history and Canada is built on diversity. That's what it means for me, just to be a part of a country and be you.
Yeah. Michael, yourself?
Very much similar to what Phiona said. I think being a born Canadian, it holds different weight for me. For me in particular, I had the opportunity to go out east, to Eastern Canada, over several years. And I've learned a multitude of Canadian history. Black history is Canadian history that was never taught to us in schools. So growing up in North York, going through the North York, Toronto school system, there's a lot of Canadian history that was never taught that we're now sort of shedding light upon, whether it was defense of the country, whether it was some of the Black hockey leagues that started, well before the National Hockey League. Canadian history is Black history, and I think we need to embrace it a little more and accept the fact that we've been here a long time, we've contributed, and it's time to fully integrate.
Yeah, it's like developing the understanding that it's a collective, right? And not so separated out. Like from Jamaica, there's different types of Jamaicans, but we're Jamaicans,
exactly,
right?
Yes.
But that in Canada, there's different types of Canadians, but we look at it as like sliced and diced, not as a collective, which actually goes perfect into the next point, which the 2026 gala theme is collective strength and shared futures. Where does that idea come from? Just talk to me about that and the gala and the theme behind it and the name.
I've always said to myself when I was going through a struggle in my marriage that I wasn't going to be good enough as a childcare provider, being a social service worker, and can't prove that I can maintain a marriage. And that's because of the label that we put on ourselves, saying you have to be perfect and you can't let the world know that you don't have this or this didn't fall, this part of you fell through. So the collective strength came out of something that I had to tell myself, that are you healed enough to serve community? Because if you're serving community hurt, you're going to only cause hurt, even if it's unintentional. And whatever you do vicariously, get into the atmosphere of those around you. So the first thing I made sure I did was that I was healed before I can do anything with the volunteering or walk a line those who have already been healed so I can learn how to do it. So the collective strength came because I've always had this vision, Myles and Michael, as you know, my husband says, so Mike, I don't know if you, so in Jamaica, there's something called pimento seed. It's a little thing that you put in rice or whatever you're making. And so we say we're like Black people in York region is like pimento seed in white rice. Like, so my vision for York region have always been to see a collective Black history launch. Either it's a gala, a festival, whatever, but one thing that either we pull together to kick it off and then go do those niche work that, because every municipality have its own thing and at that place. So when we thought about this is where I want to see more combined joint efforts. So the collective strength came from, hey, it's everybody's part of the work. No matter what group, what color, it's a collective strength that's going to make anything successful. So Neighbor might be able to come in and, like, for example, I know Lynette from before Neighbor exists and always there, what's going on? What can I do? Here's my strength. How can I contribute? Another person might say, here's what we're going to do. So all of that peace and wisdom, it comes in and make everything we do effective. And it can't be done without the other. Last point I will mention, being raised by our grandparents, they said one hand can't clap. So it's really, I put my piece in, Michael, you put your piece in, Myles, you're putting your piece in, and how we move forward together. Because when you link that, anything is possible.
Yeah, definitely. It's so true. And even when you were saying, like, you had to heal yourself first before you could be of service of others, it's something that I think about a lot too, of like, it really starts with an internal game, right? Like, this is like, I always like map like level of importance. You at first have to be selfish because you have to kind of be okay with yourself and centered, right? And whatever work that takes. And then you go out, then like the level of care is like your close like family and friends, right? And then the level of care, I think, is like the community that you are in. And then I kind of go provincial, then federal, and then like the world of it. Because you can have the most impact when you kind of do it that way, right? If you skip over and you're trying to be of service when you're broken, like things will become a mess, right? So I really feel that point. And then as well, knowing that then too, of like the collective of everyone can come in and contribute their unique attributions of who they are and their experiences that they have. And then as a collective is where like real impact actually comes in, right?
Correct.
Exactly.
Correct. Well said. Yeah.
What do you think about all that?
No, I think you're 100% right. And it's funny, I just returned from a business trip and you're on a plane and you know how they do the demo and they say, you know, look after yourself before you help somebody else. You can help somebody else if you're in distress also. So kudos to you, Phiona, for recognizing you needed that. But as a collective, yes, absolutely. We need to sort of join each other more in whatever the cause is. In this case, Black History Month is coming up and it's more than just a month. We need to recognize this throughout the year. There's contributions, there's innovations. There are things that Black people have done for Canadian, American, and worldly society that till this day still doesn't get recognized. Yeah,
so it's really like we need to just dive like 100 times deeper in education and awareness, like as a whole, right? It can't just be about like the 1 month and, you know, shine a light on it and then we move on. Okay, we did our part, you know, like.
And then March 1st. It's over.
March 1st, and then we're on to the next one, right? And, you know, and that kind of even goes back to where you can have the most impact is like education, the people around you, awareness, then your community too. I always have like this visual of if you have like all the people, if you have 10,000 people in the community that are all impacting like 3 each, like how exponentially quickly that can grow.
That can grow, yeah.
Where I think of a lot of time we look at these kind of things that we want to achieve of like top down, where really if we think of it bottom up, it can be kind of more effective. But, you know, big goals take the collective.
Yes, for sure.
Big shoes also.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Phiona, you shared a moment where someone asked if white people could attend Black History event. Like, what did that question like provoke in you? Like, walk me through that, right? It's like the opposite of collective.
That did 2 things for me. One, it was supposed to land wrong, but why it didn't land wrong is because I've already been walking this journey. And I've been walking with this journey with a special place in my heart for white participants, because I understand how difficult that is. Where we understand the generational hurt and harm that came down in that lineage of the white culture. But I also, this is my personal belief, just let me clarify that before I speak. I don't speak for all Black people. Yeah. I speak for those who want to resonate with me or can connect with what I have to say. So from my perspective, it really hurts me when a white person who is trying to do their best see themselves or think I see them as the oppressor. Because this particular white person in front of me is not the oppressor. They might inherit that situation, but that's not that person. So I've been walking with that place in my heart to make sure allies feel really centered, feel really belong. So when she asked that, it was actually like, yes, it felt like a winning moment of having people who are just being transparent. And that's what it felt like. And I was so glad to say yes, and I better see you next year.
I think it as a good thing, because sometimes you don't want to mess up or say the wrong thing.
That's
so
right.
You stay silent
That's
instead
right.
of just asking the question or follow like the
That's
curiosity, right?
right?
When you're just actually trying to discover. So it's better to actually be transparent of what you're thinking.
That
it's
awkward
like
and comfortable moment, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think just to add to that, I think with such a comment being made on top of the feelings that Phiona had, which are very, very legitimate, it also adds a sense of warmth that here are some people that aren't necessarily, I'm going to call them BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, people of color. They're not necessarily BIPOC, but they're asking, is this something I can attend? Almost like they're asking permission.
Yes.
And just like growing up, my mother cooking food, if you walked in the door, you got fed. Nobody needed to ask. So absolutely.
You belong.
You belong. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and just driving back to the collective, right? I think that's such a great theme as we kind of revisit it.
Absolutely.
So let's kind of dive how this shows up in our community of Aurora, right? In a town like Aurora. What does it really look like to show up for your community? Not just Black or white spaces, but shared community spaces. Like when I say that, like what kind of comes to mind? Again, the collective, the community of everyone coming together in these community spaces.
Thank you. I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more events. I'd like to see more people. I'd like to see people out also enjoying the food and the culture. The food is fantastic. If you can come to some of these events and get some good jerk chicken, different things like that. No, we're welcoming.
Or call
come on
Michael
out.
and he will cook it for you.
Call me and I'll cook it. Absolutely. I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more happening. I know having children in sort of the neighborhood in Aurora that are growing up and going through the school system here, there's no doubt that they see themselves as either a collective or not a collective. It's got to be one of the two. And it depends on the institutions that they're in, whether their school is more welcoming and sort of introduces and merges different cultures, different people. I'm not saying they don't, but I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more programs. I'd like to see more education. I'd like to see more attendance. And that's the biggest thing for me. I'd like to see more attendance. Yeah.
I live in Aurora for over 19 years now. When we were moving for color. We were moving for affordability. And anything out of Toronto was cheaper. And I absolutely love it here. It's been our home. It's been all my kids know for most of their lives, really. When George Floyd was murdered and you looked at Yonge Street Yo, that march was sick. You see about almost over 1,000 people coming down, marching in solidarity. The unfortunate part about that, Myles, is after that, none of those, maybe a handful, if any, show up for Black History Gala, flag raising, and other things. So was it bad that they don't, or was it meaning that their intention that, no. One doesn't subtract the other. But when you're showing up for community, you're just showing up for community. When I go out to event in our town, I go out to events in my town. I don't go to Black events or white events. I go to what's happening in my town that I can attend. So showing up for a community is, do I call here home? Once I call here home, I'm going to show up for what's happening as long as I can. So one of the things that I realized I started doing when I made a crazy move to stop every Black person I saw lately, to find the courage to say, hi, you live here? And one person passed when I owned Coconut Village, and I stopped this young girl and he said, hey, da-da-da. And he's like, actually, we don't do anything here. We go to Toronto. We get our grocery, da-da-da, and that's what we hear. We didn't even know that. She said, actually, I've been passing and looking at your sign and then thinking, is it a restaurant? What is in there or something? Or I wonder one day we're going to go. So first we have to know, why am I here? I'm in Aurora. This is my home. What's happening here? And be intentional. So when I show up because this is my home, and I show up for what I show up for. There's certain events that are intentional for different outcome, but you show up first for community. It's just what it is.
Yeah, for sure. And this, when I'm thinking of kind of like collective spaces, I really do think of like the importance of sport, right? It's such a perfect environment where that's like a true collective. We're part of the team. We have a certain goal that's in front of us too. That's really the only thing that matters. We work as a team, you know, different roles, but it's like a true collective for a common goal. And it's like finding ways to kind of replicate that feeling where it's community rather than this or that and separate it out, right? Even with on the sports side of it, that kind of leads me into my next question, talking about children and identity. What are some of the different experiences you see for Black children raised by Black parents versus those in biracial families? And just dive into that point a little bit and tell me what you think.
I might take the lead on this one, if that's okay. I was born and raised and grown up into a family where I feel like we all did well athletically. And a lot of us took whatever we could do athletically and got things like free education. I was down in the US, I got a scholarship, I got a free education. Some of us took that knowledge or whatever it was we did in sports, and we were able to travel internationally, national teams, or play professional in some country or another. I'll take you to a direct story. I have a cousin, he's in Brampton, and I won't mention his name, but anybody watching might know this. They'll know it very well. Long time ago, he's older than me, so I was younger, being able to watch him play hockey. And I will tell you, and he will tell you, and others will tell you, that a lot of the guys on his team that ended up in the NHL couldn't hold a candlestick to him. He outskated, outperformed them all the time. The problem was the racial aspect of what happened in the locker rooms from the other players and the coaches and the parents, even the referees. And it wasn't seen as anything derogatory. It was just natural communication, and he sort of took it for a long time until he quit. And it's a shame to see that happen, because you have guys who could have elevated themselves, their communities, their lives, their families, everything, had they had some of the same opportunities without some of the drawbacks, the determined folks who were going to make sure that that young person wasn't going to excel, no matter what. And having seen that, even in moving to the Midwest in the US where I went to school, it was very vibrant and apparent who was doing what and who could excel and who couldn't excel. And anybody excelling was absolutely breaking barriers. It's a shame, but you're breaking barriers if you're excelling, because the system perceivably was behind you. Where children are concerned, I think we need to take a bit more of an open and level playing field. Little Johnny or little Sally could have the same skill as, another little Johnny or another little Sally somewhere else if they're given the same opportunity. And in that right, whether you're raised by, I think, both predominantly Black parents or if you have a bit of a racial mix, there's benefits from both, where the child could learn different things from one parent or learn different things from another parent or from the assistance of a community. I know Fiona's seen it and heard it. I've seen it and heard it where people have come to us to say, I didn't know you existed. You guys are a great role model for my son, my daughter, whomever. Where, could you help with this? And whether it was sports or school or whatever it might have been. My kid wants to go to university. And in a lot of families, that's just not a thing. It's not a thing. So I think where children are concerned, we need to visibly and apparently lay out a proper, level playing field, right? You have these opportunities if you want college, university, if you want to run a business, if you want to be a chef, if you want to own Coconut Village or something similar. You have these opportunities, and there really should be no detractors to that.
Yeah. Phiona, anything to add?
I'll just keep it light by saying this. I don't raise my kids as you're a Black boy. I just don't. You're my son. That's the big period at the end. When I go to school to speak and they ask me what it is to be a Black mom, I said, I don't ask if you're a white mom. You're not a white mom. I'm a mom. I'm a mom raising sons, not Black sons. So that's for one. I never raise my kids I never say to them, go to school, work harder, because I never put that in their heads. So they never have to think it.
Mm-hmm.
Just go and be, okay? Just be. And that's what they know. They don't know anything differently. So when my son was here, I put them in French immersion because I tell myself, you're born Canadian, you better go learn to speak French. Then I realized that for the first one that I couldn't put him in certain schools because it's only, you have to be fully French. I have a French parent at home and something. By the time my second child came, I thought of myself, I didn't do my big son any justice by not fighting. You're born Canadian. You need to stop telling me as a parent that I need to go speak French before my kids have this opportunity. So when the second child came around, I decided, okay, you're going into a fully French. Forget about French immersion. I'm going to go to VMR school board and register you. So I registered Jaden. And the school replied and said, yeah, you have to be a French. I said, no. He's a born Canadian. Tell me that I can get tutor. Show me what the resources are. But he's going to be in school. He's in grade 9 now. It's pre-called in French. So, so all that to say this, Myles. The system is rigged, whether it's because of color or not color. There's other white kids that's going to be excluded because their parents have more access than who you know. And we understand that being Black is an added, disadvantage on some people's side. Mm-hmm. But one thing I know is that my space is going to be my space. And also my faith is always going to step in what I do. I always have to trust God that, my gifts is going to make room for me and my family. And we're going to show up with confidence of belonging and not like we're looking to be an add-on to anything. So my biggest concern though with that, if I may add, is when I see people in biracial relationship are not showing up because they think one person literally said to me, I feel like I'm against my wife who is white. If I come, the other lady says, well, my children didn't feel it. It's not about feeling, it's community. And that's because, again, you make it I'm Black, I'm white thing. Have a proper conversation with your family about what it is to show for community.
Yeah. You got to be colorblind.
Yeah.
For that, you get what I mean?
It's that's the mentality of it, though, right? It's be colorblind. It's not about this or that. It's at the base of it is the community part of it, right?
Yeah. And if you remember, children don't see color.
Yeah, no.
Until they're taught. Children don't see color.
Yeah.
A boy sees a boy, a girl sees a girl, and vice versa.
100%.
Well, I actually disagree. They do see color, and they better see color. Otherwise, you're going to go out there dressing like I don't know what to say. But they don't see it from the oppressive place that I'm better than you.
Yeah,
because I remember my babysitter kid, she was Spanish, and we live at Bathurst and something in Toronto. And he's wiping off my sons. And he's like, Mommy's not coming off. And another story, I still have the picture because I run a daycare and most of my clients was white. My little boy Jaden came, put flour on him, said, Mom, I want to be like Josh. I'm like, Jaden. So they do, but not from the adult place.
Not from the adult, right.
No, it's like labels attached to it.
Labels attached to it, but yeah.
They see it with innocence.
Exactly.
I think with like a lot of this, we hear the word ally a lot, right? It could kind of get thrown around, but what does being an ally actually mean in practice, in reality? And yeah.
What does being an ally mean? Where are the allies? I think I would start there. Being an ally, I think, has a lot to do with things. And I think that we need more of the community leaders, the business owners, whether you own the Shoppers Drug Mart or the whatever grocery store. If you're a community person, if you're a community person of authority, if you're a principal, a teacher, if you're a police officer, there should be, and I'm going to continue on this theme, there should be more. And I say this because I don't see it. I do see the instances of racial tension. I can talk about instances of being in the superstore and, different things happening, being watched, being followed, different things, but I don't see enough allies. So although I did ask it facetiously, I do ask it seriously also. Where are these allies? And why aren't they more visible? They should be more visible. They should be more present. They should be more welcoming. There's nothing wrong with the dollar in my pocket versus the dollar in somebody else's pocket. If I want to support your business or if I want to purchase a bottle of water, why don't I have that opportunity?
I almost got in trouble when a client walked in my space one day at Coconut Village. She was Black and she said, I will never go back to the other nail spas and I'm glad, there's a Black place here and da-da-da-da-da. And I was really wrong. I apologized to that lady. What came out was so wrong. And I said, don't come to me because I'm Black. Come to me because I'm great. I happen to be Black, yes, and you don't see a lot of Black spa owner. It's Asian dominantly owned. But come to me because I'm Black. I'm awesome. And secondly, I said, we should be ashamed to tell me that since George Floyd died is now that we started looking to support Black businesses. We should already know the statistic about how money circulate in each community and where economic empowerment comes from. And so it just came out, I don't know, I was kind of, and then I'm like, oh, Jesus. Enough to sit down and do this lady's pedicure. It was very uncomfortable, but we talk about it later and she said, you know what, sis, I'm sorry. And what I meant was, and we kind of did it well and it grew. But for me, I will answer your question later about what is the allyship. But from where I stand presently, I need, and I don't know if it's allyship I want to call it, I need to see more from my own Black people right now is where I'm at. I'm starving right now for more support, more engagement, more presence.
Our children are starving, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. From our Black people. Allies a bonus. It's icing on the cake to lighten the work and also to get access to rooms that we might not be in. And also to really show that we are actually putting a dent in the change we need to see. But right now, I'm right where Marcus Garvey left off. And how long ago Marcus Garvey passed, where he says, in the 500, and I'm paraphrasing, in the 500 years of all the things I've seen, the divide in my own Black people is what my problem is. Because he said, unless it's Black and Black unity, there's no Black and white unity. So yes, that's the first thing I want to say before I even talk about allies. I just want to see a stronger us. And don't get this convoluted or confused with the fact that, the way, it's we shouldn't say that, or the point is I have to show up for myself first. We talk about that already. Show up for myself first. And when I show up for myself strong, oh yeah, you will see people circle who the right one will come. The right one will come. But we can't just say, I'm not one to call out one side and not the other. So that's why I start with that first. In allies, what does that look like, you said, and what does it mean? Don't just say, yes, go do it, Phiona, yes, we support you. Go into doors that we're not in. Show up at the events. Buy a ticket. Put your talent to the work. And I'm going to steal this line from Dr. Augustine. She said, I don't believe in allies anymore, Phiona. I need accomplice. The people that's going to do the drive away car with me. Come do the work with us.
Yeah.
Don't just like a post.
Yeah.
Those are all great. But when we're standing, stand with us. Don't make it feel so lonely. You know, initiate things. On our board, we have white board member. We have white people that working with us. And let me be very clear about this as well, because I told you that when I show up, I'm going to always show up authentically, and you don't have to like me, but I just want to tell my truth. And my truth is, sometimes we'll be like, what is white people doing, and white people can speak? What do you mean a white person can speak? It's actually your job to do the work more than me. So you take the mic and be present. So we love that. We love when you see white people speaking for ABC, it's because you're part of our work. And so that's what it looks like for us. Don't just sit there and clap. Go to the mic. Flag raising is going to come. There's already 2 or 3 white people on the program to go up and speak. And they said, Phiona, you sure I can speak? I'm like, do you have a mouth? You're right. But you understand where that's coming from, because we might be asking for help at Myles, but we can also be the same one, make those people uncomfortable for stepping in.
Yeah.
Correct.
And, when I like reading out the ally and hearing you talk about allies, and this might be ignorant of me, but I'm like, maybe ally is the wrong word, or like, because I feel like it's like putting a label on something when it really trying to be on the collective side of it, where it's like this separation naturally, like it's like, I know that it's like a bridge, right? And it's like the right meaning is behind it. But then I just feel like it's naturally just puts us like, well, you're over there and I'm over here, right? I'm your ally, but it's not a collective piece, right? Where it's more.
I'd rather we call them friends. Just call them friends.
Yeah. Big changes start with small,
little dots,
small efforts, right?
First step. Yeah, always start with the first step.
If someone is listening to this and they want to be part of this stronger community collective, right? What would you encourage them to do? How would they start?
I'll take this one first, because then Fiona's going to, I think, expand on a bit of what she's doing with ABC. Being part of the Aurora Black Caucus, sort of a different ABC. We're a group of gentlemen doing very similar work to what Phiona does. She does it on a massive scale. She's out, she's about, she does a tremendous job. But we've been credited time and time again with being sort of the men's group. And we had a conversation years ago. You were saying, I don't have this resource, or I don't have these role models for my son, where there's gentlemen that are standing up and speaking out for, civil rights and BIPOC rights, that sort of thing. I would say get engaged. Get engaged in your local community first, whether you're in Aurora or Newmarket, or if you're in Peterborough, I don't care where you are, go online, do some research, find your local group, your community, your caucus, your whatever it might be, find them. Reach out. We get a lot of it on our website, where people reach in and say, hey, I'd like to contribute. I'd like to help out. I'd like to volunteer. I would start there. And if it's no longer in practice, or if it's grown, or there's always something you can do either at an event or with the organization as a whole to sort of show up. And a lot of this conversation has been about showing up. Be an ally in the good sense.
Yes.
Be a friend. Yeah. Be an ally. Show up, whether you're Asian, whether you're Caucasian, whether you're, Black, Hispanic. Show up. Show up for all the other cultures, but show up because you're in Aurora. Show up.
Oh, thank you for that. People start with themselves. Why am I even looking to get involved? What am I trying to get involved in? Because otherwise you become burdened and you die out and then you don't continue. What's my motive? What do I want to accomplish? And even before you reach out to us, an organization, we need to see that you're actually just being present in community and always naturally help. You get what I mean? We're here because Neighbour create the platform to say, we want to make sure community have a space to be heard, to speak, and to present themselves. And we're going to create that. But if you remember that one of the owners of Neighbour, many of you, including yourself, Myles, we're already out in community doing community. So this is just a continuance of the excellence that you were already doing independently. So it's the same thing. Because otherwise you see those lukewarmness happen where you do this for a moment. How can it be a moment thing? And that's why, you just drop off on the bandwagon later and nobody don't see or hear about from you again. So know what it is. Educate yourself, go to the library, read some books, start there. Whatever you're trying to learn and be a part of, if it's in particularly about how you interact with the Black community and help, check your motive first. check your capacity, because a lot of times we bite off what we can't chew, and just making sure you're ready for it, because this is a very lonely place. People going to stop talking to you because you say one thing they didn't like, or a person going to, it's just what it is. It's a lonely work, but it's a rewarding work when you see what you can change. And that's what I would say. Just look into yourself, do it for you, and then whatever else would just be a benefactor of the community as a whole.
Love it. Yeah, I would say really this conversation isn't about, knowing it all or having all the answers of it, but it's about everyone staying curious and coming together as a collective and, building the community. So thank you so much for being on the show today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Myles. Appreciate it.
And we'll see you around at the events.
Enough respect.